Well, you know, being my age and everything. I feel good right now. So welcome, Shabbat Shalom. I think even before the next step, I just have to say this for this moment. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu haolam, shehachianu, v'tiyanu, v'tiyanu, b'zman hazeh. All right. So I am joyous for this event, this Shabbat together. I can't express myself enough, but because I can't, I'm going to invite Lyle Lewinsky, our president, for Darrell W. up, and he can express it for us.
Thank you, Kendall. Well, this is a special service tonight. Many special things are happening. This is the first service back after the pandemic. God willing, everything is good here. This is the first service year on a Friday night that we moved from the chapel to Clubhouse 2. So that's new also. So we do have Rabbi Fink and Tanner Whitney do the Friday night service. Unfortunately, Rabbi Fink can't be with us tonight, but he'll be here in August. He sends his best wishes to everyone. We're so happy to see everyone here. It's a mitzvah. I'm thankful that we're all together. So thankful for Tanner Whitney, who is leading services. JRLW has many activities planned for the coming year. We have a new co-president of Becky Simon, and she's going to kind of all about the activities to make sure that you receive our newsletter. If you don't receive our newsletter, or you see a picture of our previous president, Kitty, your last newsletter, you know that it has been updated over the last 2 years. So that is all I'm going to say for now, so we can get to service. So thank you, Ken and Wendy, for providing us with services tonight. I'll turn control back.
I'm hoping everybody has it before, and if you can turn to page 38, I would like to invite Karen Krasnov to light the Shabbat. Source of mercy, continue your loving care for us and our loved ones. Give us strength to walk in your presence on the path of the righteous. Loyal to your Torah, steadfast in goodness. We trust our Lord. Breathe anguish. Fill our homes with peace, light, and joy. Lord God, fountain of life, by your light shall we see light. Baruch Hashem Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher quitzanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu b'chadrit Shabbat. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. We count us with your mitzvot, command us to think of the way of Shabbat. May we be blessed with Shabbat joy. Amen. May we be blessed with Shabbat peace. Amen. May we be blessed with Shabbat life. Amen. We continue on page 39 with the opening of Erev from Psalm 95, the Chuna Ramana. The Chuna Ramana, the Chuna Ramana, the Chuna Ramana, Adonai. The Chuna Ramana, the Chuna Ramana, the Chuna Ramana, Adonai. Naria, Naria, Victory, Shinu, Nekana, Vitona. Naria, Naria, Victory, Shinu, Peace, Nero, Naria, Loco. Lehuna Ranina, Lehuna Ranina, Lehuna Ranina, Adonai. Lehuna Ranina, Lehuna Ranina, Lehuna Ranina, Adonai. We continue on page 39, where we will read responsively. Come, let us sing to the Eternal One. Let us come before God with thanksgiving. For great are you, Eternal One. In your hands are the depths of the earth. You made the sea, it is yours. You are our God and our shepherd. If only today we would listen to your voice. We will continue on page 46 through Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi Libra Allah B'nei Shabbat Lecha 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 Dodi Libra Allah B'nei Shabbat Lecha Lecha Shamor Zabor God Ish Miyanu Ya'amitan Adonai Adonai Shemo Echad L'Shemu Tiferet L'Kila Lecha Dodi Lika Allah B'nei Shabbat Lecha 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 Dodi Lika Allah B'nei Shabbat Lecha Lecha Liquad Shabbat, Lechu B'lecha, Yihi B'kor HaHalacha, V'losh T'kedem B'Shucha. So Ma'aseh Shabbat, V'Kila Lecha Dodi Lika Allah B'nei Shabbat Lecha 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 Dodi Lika Allah B'nei Shabbat Lecha Lecha. Itoreri, Ima Oleri, Umi Obi, Shir Yadei, Kavod Adonai Alani, Iklam Lecha Dodi,
Science certified seal. And only 45 calories. I am living with CLL and I am living longer thanks to Imbruvica.
Imbruvica is a prescription medicine for adults with CLL or chronic lymphocytic leukemia. It will not work for everyone. Imbruvica is the #1 prescribed oral therapy for CLL, and it's proven to help people live longer. Imbruvica is not chemotherapy. Imbruvica can cause serious side effects, which may lead to death. Bleeding problems are common and may increase with blood thinners.
Please be seated. We continue on page 48 for a responsive reading. The eternal one is enthroned, robed in grandeur. The eternal one is robed, girded with strength. The one who founded the solid earth to be unmoving. The oceans cry out, eternal God. The oceans cry out their thunder. The oceans rage in their fury. But greater than the thunder of the torrents, mightier than the breakers of the sea, is the majesty of God on high. We continue with the Reader's Cottage. Amari Prahutenium with Papute, Kaye Konmio Mekon, Ukayabo Israel, Padala, Ubisman Kavi, Pimeru, Teheshera, Please turn to page 50 and rise to the black group. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Continue. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher hikaro ha'ari bara'i, v'chokhmah potach sha'ari, u'rifuna m'shaneh etzim, ma'chali et hazmanim, u'sader et hakochavim, ishmarotehem ha'ariyot v'tisonah. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, whose word brings on relief. With wisdom, you open heaven's gates, and with understanding, you make the ages pass and the seasons alternate. Your will controls the stars as they travel through the sky. Unending is your love for your people, the house of Israel, Torah, and these both laws and precepts have you taught. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Elohim, Adonai Echad, Elod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta E'adonai Elohecha, B'kol malchut ashercha, B'kol me'odecha, Ve'hayu Elohim ha'erev, Asher Elohim b'tzalcha, Hayom alavakecha, V'shinantam levanecha, V'yartam, V'shitzecha v'tzecha, U'mechtecha b'derech, V'shoftecha u'mecha, V'shartam le'ot hayadecha, V'hayu l'totachot v'yecha, U'tatam, V'amtuso v'techa, U'vishavecha, V'man tisparu, V'asitem le'otai, V'ten kedoshim le'otem, Ani, Adonai Elohim, Asher hotzitietem, Be'eretz Mitzrayim, V'yolachem Elohim, Ani, Adonai Elohim. Please join me in the responsive reading that is on page 53. All this we hold to be true and sure, you alone are God. There is none else, and we are Israel, your people. You are sovereign. You do wonders without number, marvels that pass our understanding. You did wonders for us in the land of Egypt, miracles and marvels in the land of Pharaoh. When your children witnessed your power, they extolled you and gave you thanks. Willingly they enthroned you. Full of joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang this ונאמר כי חזרנה את יעקב, ולא מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני לעד ישראל. Turn to page 55. And we do the reading at the top of the page, please. So I will start with that we may lie down in peace, eternal God, and raise us up, O sovereign, to life in you. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake, be our help. Shield us from danger and birth. Keep us from war and enemy. Through our nations to be known. Our God, our gracious and merciful Father, give us refuge in the shadow. O Lord, our kind and our joy, and now and always in our life. We pray to you, O God, and shelter of you. Please join me in singing the Shama. Vishnu, Israel, and Hashaman, Lasso, and Hashaman, with the words on the beat, oh, Vishnu, Israel, and Hashaman, Lasso, and Hashaman, with the words on the beat, oh, Israel, oh, We are going to continue now on page 56 with the Tefillah, and please rise if you're so able. Adonai, Sifatai Kitab, Ubi Adi Tekilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu Elohei Avotinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. El Haggadah, Hagibor, Hanoah, El Elyon, Romer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasei Avot Ma'od, U'mei Olam Lifnei B'nei Ham, L'man Shemo Yahweh Baruch atah Adonai, Magid Avraham v'Yitzchak. Atah Yikun le'olam Adonai, L'chayei hakol, Moshiach, L'chachel chayim v'chesed, L'chayei hakol v'rachamim. So make no plea, L'rovei holy, Umatir asuri. Ukaye Murato Lishene Amar Mikamo Chama Yituro Umido Melo Elapini Ukaye Umasmia Yeshua Lemata Hayot Hakos Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei hakol. Please turn the page. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh v'roshim b'chol yom yahavu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. We continue on the bottom of page 61. 61. We gratefully acknowledge that you are our God, the God of our people, the God of all generations. You are the rock of our life, the power that shields us in every age. Your goodness, your mercy, your compassion, your love never fail. You will always be our hope. For all these things are sovereign God. That your name be forever exalted and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, that all who live and firmly praise your name. For God, whose nature is goodness, we give you thanks and praise. Turn to page 63, we will do Shabbat. Shalom Yisrael, Hasini, Elolam. Shalom Yisrael, Hasini, Elolam. Ki atah Levo Hashem. At this time, I'd like to give everybody an opportunity for a silent prayer, for you to reflect on your week, and at the conclusion, we will sing our station. Oh, say shalom, Biroma. Uya, say shalom, Aleichem. Ve'al Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al Yosef ve'imeru. Amen. This time in our service, this Siddur does not have this in there, so I can't point you to that. But we are now going to have an opportunity for prayer for our loved ones that are not doing well, that are having troubled times, or Mishavera. So at this point, I'm going to say a prayer, and when I pause, please feel free to name any of those people in your life right now that you're saying a special Mishavera for. Mishavera Avotenu V'Imotenu. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, who Yivarech, and Acholim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachamim Aleihem. U'Hachalizam U'Rahutam U'Hachazikam V'Yishlach Lahem Behera V'Fuah V'Fuah Shleiman Min HaShamayim V'Fuat HaNefesh V'Fuat HaGuf Hashtav Adam Yizman Kavi V'Nomar Amen. He's playing the same initiative. This is when, back in the days, when you'd be in the chapel, you'd have a little handout that had the lyrics. The most likely was, so. us see, and let us say, Amen. Bless those in need of healing, with the wash them off, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. One more sip of water. So tonight, you're going to get the result of all of my studying of the Parsha this week of Pinchas. Okay? And this is what I got. Is there a fine line between believer and zealot? I would like to open this evening with a memory that occurred as I was studying this Parsha, as it seemed to help me relive this moment of shock and disappointment related to religious interpretation and the line between believer and zealousness. And I just realized that, Diane, you're going to maybe guess who I'm talking about tonight. Here we go. I used to work with Diane. When I was an administrator for Montgomery County Public School, we had summer retreats for our leadership. I'm really kind of embarrassed because I forgot you were here, Diane. One particular summer, we were spending 4 days in Rehoboth Beach to plan our objectives and goals for the following school year. After a hard day of work, we were just sitting in the living room of the large house that we rented and learning more about each other. The topic of religion came up. As always, I was the only Jewish person in the room. Our collective group spanned a wide variety of religions. One of our colleagues proudly described her church and their very fundamentalist values. She described herself as a true believer. She went on to describe the necessity to fear God. As she was speaking, she also spoke about the importance of baptism, that anyone who wasn't baptized would go to hell. Among the various religions sitting around there that were represented were Baptist, Lutheran, Catholic, and myself. We were listening intently. I don't know why I perseverated on this, but I asked her, what in the case of a newborn who unfortunately only lived for a couple hours or a couple of days and then passed away? One would not believe that this innocent child would go to hell, would they? She responded that, yes, there are no exceptions. Regardless of how long the baby lived, if he or she were not baptized, he or she would go to hell. I asked her, you believe that I would go to hell since you're not baptized in our religion? I couldn't let go. I said, we have other traditions. She said, unfortunately, yes, I would also go to hell. She was a very quiet and introverted person, but she was passionate about the beliefs that she espoused. Knowing that someone looked at me in that way, and knowing that innocent people could be considered in that manner, was so disturbing to me. I admit it had such an impact on my feelings toward her that it actually made an impact on my ability to communicate with her after that. It helped me understand why you should not talk about religious and political beliefs in the workplace. But it was too late, right? I probably never would have learned about this had we not been in the 24-hour-a-day retreat situation. Did my colleague go from true believer to zealot for her very stringent beliefs and judgment on others in the name of God? In this week's Torah Parsha, was Pinchas a true believer or a zealot when he decided to take action and murder Zimri and Cosby because of sexual misconduct? One could look at his action in two different ways. One was that he saved the Israelites from a plague by acting on this interpreted immoral act. The other thought was that he should have consulted with Moses, who was the highest authority of law within the community. But Pinchas ends up taking the law in his own hands. Pinchas was rewarded by God by giving him priesthood for this act. No one can be sure of Pinchas' motive, whether it was altruistic to avoid a plague on the people for this misconduct, or whether he was looking for an opportunity to achieve this designation of permanent priesthood by God. Clearly, the great rabbis have had conflicting analyses on this act. Had Pinchas moved from true believer to zealot when enforcing the law without consultation? Many people stood on either side of this disagreement. How can we celebrate our differences without imposing them on our community? Can we admire a variety of beliefs and yet still pray together and value what keeps us together and yet sets us apart? Many have at one time or another lived in a town or city that only has one synagogue, like my cousins in Oklahoma. If any at all, some of them don't have any, and find common ground to worship, even if it does not incorporate what we traditionally had as we were growing up. Our relationship with God is personal. Regardless of how many branches of Judaism exist, we still come with our personal needs and beliefs within them as well. Being able to interpret a situation should be everyone's right. But imposing your interpretation on another may take a situation from discussion to zealousness. We know that opening our arms to include each other is considered the goal of our multifaceted God. Yet we often find reasons to divide, to look upon our differences as ways to separate and judge what and who is best. Similar to the feelings and beliefs that both Pinchas and Moses felt. Individuality is something to celebrate. Our characteristics and talents are uniquely ours. Our differences can also be celebrated, but should they be judged? It doesn't support division. Pinchas could be described as a zealot, a fanatic, who saw himself as a supporter and defender of the faith and would sacrifice himself and others for his beliefs. But were they truly God's beliefs, or did he become entrenched in a position that strayed from God's message? Sometimes a true believer can lose the message in their passion. Of course, we know that I have no passion, so I don't know why I should even lecture that. The message becomes a grievance and is no longer valuing God's intent. One can start out with the very best of intentions and then somehow lose their way because of a personal agenda. As our Torah portion continues, Zelophehad, I can barely mention his name, his daughters, complained to Moses. Why do they complain? They're being maligned because these daughters are not permitted to share in their inheritance of their father because they are women. Thank you for letting me stand here tonight, by the way. If the patriarch dies, the inheritance land goes to their decedent's brothers. And if there are none, the decedent's parents, but never to the daughters. Moses brings this complaint to God because the girls went and said they wanted something done. And God reflects on his laws and determines that justice must allow these daughters to inherit from their father should they remain unmarried. I'm not going to get into the complication if they do marry. Let's just leave it at that for right now. Because of this enlightenment and plea from these daughters, God actually changes the laws of inheritance to be more inclusive of women. In other words, even God's reflection allows for change and flexibility, valuing the needs of just thinking to consider the global needs of our people. When we worship together, we bring our collective strength to show each other and God that we are united in our belief as human beings, as passionate believers, and in the strength of our faith as a Jewish people. We are not taught to judge who prays better, who has better tradition, or who might represent our faith in a truer or more devoted fashion. We are taught to represent Tikkun Olam, to make both our immediate community and our extended local community a better place through our continuous acts of loving kindness and tzedakah. We are here tonight as we have been throughout the pandemic, determined to celebrate our faith in a united front. We have survived this challenge together. The unsung heroes have allowed us to make a way to avoid isolation and prove that a building does not make a place to worship. It can be through Zoom, YouTube, Channel 974 when it works, our own home, and yes, even a computer, television, or phone. As we move forward, we celebrate as a united community. Let us remember, please remember, to thank our JRLW leadership for ensuring that we had a way to literally keep the faith during a very challenging time. I particularly need to thank all of you whose presence and email provided me a source of strength during these last 17 months of quarantine and our last 15 months of services. We have all had to learn so much together. And without the vision and constant support of our leadership at JRLW, none of this could have taken place. I mean, none of it. Often when we get used to something, or if something does not go well, we always communicate our displeasure. But tonight, at this very special Shabbat of reconnection, I want to thank all of our board members and committee members for prioritizing our need to celebrate our JRLW community through services, both online and now in-person events. You have truly made our world a better place. So Todah Rabah to all of you. That should be for our JRLW board and all right, so now, that was so passionate, right? We're going to continue after a sip of water on page 148, March 3. Aleinu l'shabeach Olam ha'kol, v'aseinu ha'erev Shalom Asanukriye ha'matzot, Shalom Samanu Yishachot Adama, Shalom Samanu Ha'em, Shalom Alinu Yechol Ahonam, V'anachnu Borim, U'ishachim U'movim, U'ifnei Melech, Malkei HaMalkim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'nemar v'chaya Adonai v'melech ha'aretz hayom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Please be seated. I'm continuing on the top of page 152. When cherished ties are broken, the chain of love is shattered. Only trust and the strength of faith can lighten the heaviness of the heart. At times, the pain of separation seems more than we can bear, but love and understanding can help us pass through the darkness toward the light. Out of affliction, the psalmist learned the law of God. And in truth, grief is a great teacher when it sends us back to serve and bless the living. We learn how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are bowed with sorrow. We learn when to keep silence in their presence and when a word will assure them of our love and concern. Thus, even when they are gone, the departed are with us, moving us to live as, in their higher moments, they themselves wish to live. We remember them now. They live in our hearts. They are an abiding blessing. We continue on page 154. If you have a yard site, please feel free to rise, and even if you don't, some people want to rise to share that with their congregants. Yitkada, Yikadash, Shmei Rabbah, Ve'alma Nivra Hurute Yamlik Malkute, V'chayekom, V'yomekom, V'chaye L'chol Beit Yisrael, V'hadama U'bizman Kavi, Yimru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Barak, Ve'olam V'olei Hamayim. Yisbarach, Yishtabach, Yisbahar, Yitzomam, Yitzaseh, Yitzhadar, Yitzhaleh, Yitzhalam, Shmei Kusha, Bitu, Le'lamin Ho Birkata, V'shirata, Ushbachata, V'nechamata, V'amiram Bilma, V'yimru, Amen. Yehi Shlama, Rabba, Min Shemayim, V'chayim, Aleinu, V'al Yisrael, V'yimru, Amen. V'sei Shalom, V'yimru, V'yaseh Shalom, Aleinu, V'al Yisrael, V'yimru, Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen. Please be seated, except for Lyle Lewinsky. Lyle, could you give us our announcements here this evening?
Thank you, Candy. Also, I want to thank Tim Wheaton, our technology manager, for helping us with live. Can you hear me better? It's really bad when a guy in the front row tells you he can't hear you. You reach. What I said was, Tim Wheaton is our technology manager. The back of your head is live on Zoom and YouTube tonight. So we do have other congregants besides the 40-some people who are here tonight. There's people watching us on Zoom and YouTube. So when you, even though we're told by Leisure World not to have Oneg Shabbat, we actually have a sponsor for tonight's Oneg Shabbat that we're not having. So what we did was, Judy, thank you for sponsoring tonight. We're going to have a small bag of chocolate chip cookies for everybody to take home. It's only 2 ounces. So it looks like all the announcements are from the other Jewish organizations in the leisure world. We're working on the metamorphosis of our 60 events slowly rolling out tonight. But July 7, Hadassah board meeting, July 10, Shabbat service for Tanner Kravitz, that's on Zoom, that's not live. Nehemiah is July 13th, they're having a meeting. And Jewish War Veterans, July 18th, July 19th, Hadassah Study Group, the 20th, Nehemiah. The movie scheduled for July 27th, JCC, which JCC will be doing more things with them, has been moved to August. We do have a lot of things planned for bringing back our Sunday brunch in a different manner. We have, that means different food. We have plans for Family Song Fest with Seth Coswell, where you bring your family and things along. The Sunday brunch will be in October and December. So look for all those things in your newsletter. The newsletter is very important. People, newsletter editors is back in the room. Ellen, thank you Bernice for the dedication. Thank you Janet for helping bring us to this tonight. Thank you Alan Nelson and his lovely wife. like Linda with membership, Herb Odie's for all the Shivas that we do. We had just in the last 2 months, 6 members passed away, so we get a lot of support with that. And our wonderful treasurer who stays on top of everything, Marsha Bernstein. Forgive me if I left somebody else, Brent Shapiro, our business agent, and Judy Pumpkin, who does everything. Our volunteers. So, just to let you know, we're going to have a small high holiday service in this room, and the ticket sales have gone on. Tickets were limited to about 175 people, which is a half a room, and so we lowered the price of tickets. Get those in their newsletter. You can order those. So an order form is there. So please join us this year. Also, some of there's a Yisker book order form. Joyce Torchinsky has Torchinsky Funeral is sponsoring the funeral. Please remember to join JRLW this year, since we're trying to do more and more more secular things, music festivals and things like that. With the guys, the wonderful, talented, and gifted candidates. Our volunteer group. I didn't hear that. Yeah, for instance, we had to do here, but Tanner Wendy's son, Matt did all the books, which was 8 cars from the chapel to here, just to make sure everything is perfectly done. Our volunteer group has gotten smaller, so our board members have to do several jobs, each board member, to try to put on those 60 programs, services, and events that we produce each year. We did have somebody come forward, Joyce Fisher. Unfortunately, she's not here tonight. But send me an email. She's going to be our volunteer coordinator, even if it's as little as just being a greeter at the door. Not a Walmart here in Clubhouse too. Thank you again to Cantor Wendy for doing several jobs developing our technology committee and streaming Zoom, YouTube. So our tech manager as the guide we need. And thank you to everyone in this room for being a member of JRLW. If you're not, please join and stay safe.
So, while this is for everybody, this closing song tonight is really for Bernice. Why is it for Bernice? She didn't ask anything of me. Al, would you come up? But she does like it when I have my husband come up, so that's why it's for you. I didn't know how I would reintegrate here after Al was always singing with us when we were at home doing the services. But I was afraid I'd get an email from Bernice saying, "What about your husband, Al?" I'm saying his name. So this is my husband Al, and we are going to do a song that I've never done before. I did not make it up. I promise you. If you do not sing along with me, once we get going, it's going to crush you. So I'm putting the Jewish guilt on you right now. If you don't sing it with me, it may take one time through. After that, you should be able to sing it with me. Agiten Shabbos, ay, 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 ay. 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 Agiten Shabbos, ay, 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 ay.